So, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC for short, recently came out and compared the migrant detention centers on the U.S.'s southern border to concentration camps, and there has been a pretty big backlash against her for using that term. Which really shouldn't be the focus of the dialogue or the outrage. The outrage really should be about the conditions that these migrants, that these asylum seekers, that these political refugees, that these human beings are being placed in. So just earlier this week, the Trump's Department of Justice was arguing that these human beings don't need access to toothbrushes or toothpaste, and simply giving them the little kind of aluminum foil blanket thing, and then access to a cold concrete floor to sleep on was safe and humane treatment, more or less. They also argued that the children in these detention centers, this was a couple weeks ago or so, did not require access to, any type of outside time or any type of activities. And a lot of these people, including children, have gone weeks without being able to take a shower or change their clothes, and they're stuffed into these very tight and constrained quarters where, you're more likely to become sick. They're being held in these conditions much longer than is actually than what is legal. So they're just in these very, very inhumane conditions for long periods of time. And as we have seen, the death of people in these conditions in these detention centers, or as AOC calls them, in these concentration camps, has increased dramatically under the Trump administration. There have been multiple deaths, both of adults and children, in these concentration camps under the Trump administration. So the outrage, the vitriol, this anger, it should not be directed at AOC for pointing out that we as the United States, as this so-called bastion of democracy and freedom and humanity. I mean, just look what the supposed Statue of Liberty is supposed to represent. What does it give me? Your poor, tired masses and all that stuff. And then we're treating these people who are seeking a better life for themselves as less than people who don't even deserve a bed to sleep on, a blanket, access to showers, access to activities for their children, access to toothpaste, access to basic sanitary requirements. So that's what the outrage should be about, how we are treating these people as less than people. And even in, okay, then let's get that out of the way. Then there's actually, if you want to get specific about it, there's actually technically 3 types of concentration camps as identified by Hannah Arendt in The Origins of Totalitarianism. So the first type is the Hades type. It's a relatively mild form of a concentration camp. Its basic purpose is for getting undesirable elements out of the way. So she points out that could be used for refugees, stateless persons, unemployed. Obviously, in our context in the United States, we're using it to take these refugees, these immigrants, these asylum seekers, trying to get them out of the way. So if you really want to get technical about it, they are still a concentration camp, but it's obviously on a little bit different level than the, how they were employed by the Nazis. And then there's the purgatory type, which is neglect combined with chaotic forced labor, which she points to the Soviet Union labor camps as an example of that. And then the third type was the hell variety, which is the Nazi labor camps, where the whole life was systematically organized with a view to create the greatest torment for the people there. In the article I read, I believe it was from Bloomberg News, the author points to obviously the U.S. type being the Hades variety, but when the Trump administration was implementing the child separation policy, that was more of a purgatory, more of a purgatory form, because it was basically a hostage taking, practice to deter families from trying to seek asylum or refugee status here, because they're basically saying, we're going to separate you from your children if you try to come here. But so just wanted to break that down. There actually are different types, kind of different levels of concentration camps. And so from that first definition of the Hades style, it's definitely, that's what the U.S. concentration camps are, is a Hades style, because their express goal isn't to necessarily cause the the greatest torment like what was happening in the Nazi concentration camps, but nonetheless still a concentration camp, and not really what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on the treatment of these people, of these men, women, and children in these concentration camps on the U.S.'s southern border, and how they are being treated as less than human. And the truest reflection of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable populations. And using this as an example, we really need to take a deep look in the mirror and do some really serious reflecting, because this is totally unacceptable. Peace, much love.